to the Bad Old Book Club.
To the bad, are we saying it, book club?
No, we are not.
We are not.
Children's book edition.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Church Misfits,
Yes.
Children's Youth Edition.
Yep, the Badass Book Club.
I thought we weren't saying it.
Oh,
saying
we'll edit that out
That
later.
did not last long.
Yeah.
Hey, this week we are here with author Gunnar Rogers tackling kids' book, Chuck's Chair.
Chuck's Chair. It's a real thing now. It's kind of crazy. I actually still haven't read it cover to cover.
Really?
It's too.
You
it's-
you haven't read your own book?
Well, I mean, I've read it.
Hold on, people. We'll be right back.
I mean, I've read it a lot for 2.5 years. But once I finally got like an actual copy in my hand, I started crying and thought, well, I'm not gonna be able to read that. So it's
Just tear-soaked pages.
it just sits on my dinner table. Sometimes I'll look at it like, okay, it's here. This is nice.
Just sitting looking at the book crying. I mean, that's pretty much my experience too. It took you a while. I had a copy before you had a copy.
That's it. I actually checked this the other day. So this is the weirdest thing. When it came out, I think it was once it was available on Amazon. I didn't know about it, and I didn't know about it, and the team that helped put it together didn't know about it for like 24 hours.
Was this like a leak, like a whoopsie?
I don't even know. I
Like
just
somebody
know,
found it under a mattress at a...
This is what happens when your publisher is the crack addict that
yes,
you found last
exactly.
week.
He said,
on
"I have a
6th
hookup.
Street.
Yeah.
I know
Crack
someone that
addict,
knows someone."
Yeah.
But
You get what you
yes,
pay for.
Yeah, I got exactly what I paid for. And so my wife pops in and she's like, "Chuck's Chair is on Amazon." I said, "Wait, I checked that 2 hours ago and it wasn't available." But then went to order it and it just had a red X and said, "We can't ship it to your place." And so for 2 weeks I tried to ship it to my own apartment and couldn't. So my lovely mom sent me a copy. So shout out Kelly Rogers.
Shout out, Mom. Yeah. Well, okay. So before we dive into like what it's like to be a children's book author, is that weird?
Tell me if this is bad or not.
Yeah.
Like, children's book author, dude, question mark pedophile? Is that what comes to your mind?
So I had a mustache before we made this podcast.
Yeah.
You did.
There's
Thank
a
you for
reason
shaving
why.
the mustache.
Because why is it the world we live in? But the first thought that comes to my mind is, why is a dude writing to children? What's wrong with him?
That's
a little bit, yeah.
I would be lying if I said
Opportunist?
I haven't had that insecurity for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Because I feel like most dudes, especially younger, are like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and write the next book on how to sell, and they're full of shit.
Yeah.
But
You're like, I just love
I'm
the
like,
children.
I just love kids, and so here's a children's book, and that's weird to say at a cocktail party. So it's kind of been in the back pocket for quite a while.
I was
Okay.
like, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Okay. So, was there a kid's book that inspired you, or was this a childhood dream?
It was indirect in a lot of ways. I was really chubby as a kid. I don't know if anyone else out there was a little chubby as a child, but I was. And it was
And I still am.
it was enough that it was mentioned in a mean way by other classmates a couple of times, and so I was really upset about that all the time and didn't think I'd ever be cool. But my mom would read me "You Are Special" by Max Lucado, and just had a lot of impact on my life at the time, but then completely forgot about it until I had the idea for this book and realized, oh, this is basically "You Are Special," just a different iteration of it. So I think it directly had a bit of an impact there, but then also falling in love with like the Chronicles of Narnia growing up, The Hobbit, a couple of different more children's books that were a little bit longer than this one, but still have always loved children's literature just because it's simple, it's fun to read. Sometimes it's a lot more beautiful than American novels that are trying to be beautiful and aren't. So still had a bit of a tie there. But
All right,
This
let's
book is like Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings and The Hobbit.
it's got its own
And
language.
all
It's
rolled into one.
This is all the
Check it out.
Silmarillion, and the world building has started. So
Okay, let me
Stay
jump in
tuned.
here because if you're watching and listening and you've been listening to us for a while, you're like maybe thinking, why do I need to listen to this dude talk about a children's book? I don't know how this connects with me. And let me just tell you, although this was written for children, this is a message in here that I think we all need to hear. All of us need to hear it, right? And so, one, I love your story because you are definitely not who I picture as the prototypical children's author,
I'm not either.
right? And so I love that. I love the message in the book, and I think if you stick with this to the end, I think you're going to be really inspired by maybe what you think you're capable of, but aren't sure you're capable of, and just have that that nudge to just go do it? Because I feel like you must have been wrestling with this for a while, and then was just like, at some point, you're like, screw it, I'm just doing it.
Yeah, it was definitely it was almost 3 years ago now. I was interning at a startup in Austin. It was my first summer away from youth camp, and some conversations I was having with my now wife about just how we see value, how we perceive our own value, especially in comparison to others, which comparison is the thief of joy. I hope that everyone knows that. And read in Ephesians 3:21, I believe. I'm not the guy that memorizes verses, so tag me in the comments if you know where it is. But it said, "For you are the workmanship of God, intended for his good works, as from the beginning." And that gave this whole vision of a carpenter and how passionate they are about working with wood and what that process is like, and how if they were to start by going out in the woods and finding the right tree, they're not going to cut down any tree, but it's the tree that they see their creation in, and they're so excited about what they're set out to make, and it's this back-breaking, grueling process, but it's a labor of joy. Like, they don't feel pain or sweat or ache from it as you think you would. It's like the closer they get to the finished product, the more energized they are by it. They're not exhausted. And I had that idea, and just in that moment in the place I was living, thought, okay, I'm going to write a children's book about that. Had never written a book, had never thought about being a children's author at all, but had that inkling, but that definitely did not align or go with any of the other ideas I had for my life at all. And so it was a really sheepish, shy pursuit from there, because it just did feel, it felt right to write it and to pursue it, but it also at the same time felt very, not even counter to who I am at all, but it just felt like, is this...
But you didn't grow up thinking, I want to be a children's book author.
Yeah, I didn't grow up thinking that. And that also felt weird, because I read into the publishing process, because it was like, I'm going to publish this book. This is meant to be out there in some way. But also knew, like, there's thousands of people out there that from the time they could think, were like, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to be a children's book author. I'm going to be the next Max Lucado, Shel Silverstein, C.S. Lewis, whoever it might be, and that was never me. And so it almost even felt like unfair in some ways to pursue that, but there was a bit of obedience at the same time of like, I know I want to do this. I know there's a desire here. I don't think there's a gift here, and I don't think that there's necessarily a clear path, but I've got to at least start. And that just started this process of like every 3 or 4 months, I would pull it out of the drawer and try and make the children's version of this story. Because when it came out, it was not that. It was very descriptive and bad. It wasn't written well. No one would like it. But it was this long process, partially because it was like I would have to put it away for 3 months to decide it was even worth it to write it again.
Yeah, you're describing beautifully almost the process of a creator, right? Idea, inspiration, doubt, uncertainty, neglect the idea, and then repick it back up, and then eventually, like, you've got to push yourself through that in order to just do it, and get started and get it done, and you did. And so that process, start to finish, was how long, you said?
It was total almost 3 years, probably 2.5 more to the date. Especially, it all came to a head when I was living in Abilene, the best place to have a lot of time on your hands, especially when your fiance is out of town. And it had been that, every 3 months, doubt, belief, inspiration, write, put it back. And finally just thought, you know what, on a Friday night, I was like, I'm going to make it to the point that I think it's good enough, hire an illustrator on Fiverr in Indonesia to illustrate it in 12 hours, and I'm going to put it on Amazon myself. And I did it. And it was honestly just a relief to put it out there, but then I didn't say anything about it other than to my wife. So it was just floating out there on Kindle Direct Publishing. No one knew about it. So in a way, I look back and I think, well, what was the point if I didn't even share about it? Because I think there is a weird tension, but also a reality of when you create anything, you've got to have the whats to talk about it. You've got, if you believe in it, you've got to share it so that other people can experience what God has given you the gift to share with the world.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, another guy that we work with had a conversation with him about wanting to get this book into the hands of millions of kids. And he read it and said, okay, told our owner about it. He said, okay, let me tell him the story. I told him, he said, okay, I'm going to publish that, give you a team to do it, and we're going to make it happen. And now it's out there.
Well, we're going to jump back in. We're going to share some of our favorite parts of this book and get into the meat of it. But before we do, Zach and I have a fun game we want to play.
With each other or all three of us?
No.
You're welcome to join.
Yeah, you're welcome to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just y'all smiles are really, I'm in the middle of this.
I do not know what's
Yeah.
about to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna. I have selected some literature from my childhood, which is very
not just books.
literature from my childhood,
Okay.
which is very
Classics.
meaningful to me. Right. Yes. And I'm gonna reveal them one at a time.
Okay.
And you're gonna tell us whether your book is better or worse than my piece of literature.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Are
you
some of
ready?
these softballs or is this a serious thing? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what direction we're going.
Well, we're gonna find out. Better or worse.
Sometimes we don't either.
Listen, you can't overthink this. It's got to be instinctual. You got to look at it and be like, oh yeah, mine.
High or low?
Confidence, like, oh yeah, mine's better.
All right.
Better. Or you're gonna look at it and be like, oh wow, worse.
Okay.
Mine's worse.
Okay.
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 Better or worse? You ready?
Yes.
First piece of literature.
Better.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh.
There's a book?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a children's story.
Wait.
But
Okay.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That says the storybook based on the movie, not the book that the movie
No,
was
no, no,
based.
no, no. You're
So
getting too
better.
technical here.
It's
You
better. It's better.
Your book's better than Raiders of
Book
the
is
Lost
better,
Ark. Your book is
right.
better than Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yes.
Or the Lost Ark, whatever the one
And
is.
you don't even remember what it actually
Okay,
is.
fine.
so
All right,
obviously
fine. You
it's
win.
better.
First round. Ready? Next one.
Okay. He's gonna pull out the Bible.
Aladdin and the Magic Carpet.
Wait. Over to the magic lamp.
So again,
This is a
better,
pop-up book,
'cause,
though.
I mean, you've said
It is. Yours is not a pop-up book. This one is.
Okay,
We should do this.
We should definitely
Better or worse?
Okay, pop up is really cool. I'll give you that, but that's a lot of words for a kid to learn how to read with. So I'm gonna still say mine's better from a learning to read standpoint.
All right,
Buy it
fine.
on Amazon today. Leave a
Does
review.
Disney know that it exists?
I don't know.
I think it's based off of a Shakespeare novel, isn't it? The actual Aladdin.
Aladdin?
I think.
Who cares?
Doesn't
Wow.
Disney
Okay.
rip off?
All right.
Learn
two-
something.
2 for Chuck's chair, 0 for my childhood literature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Am
Really?
I hurting your childhood right now?
No. I the best ones have yet to
Oh, okay.
be
Okay.
previewed. Ready?
Okay.
The Nintendo Power Magazine.
Oh.
It's better. It's way better.
Your book. Are you kidding me?
It's better.
Have you even played Metroid?
I have, and
Okay,
it's good.
do you
but
know
have
that
you read,
in here all of like the stages are lined out?
Okay.
I know where to find all the
That-
treasures. I even have posters. Does your book have a poster?
Not yet. It's in the works.
And
On
look at that,
Amazon,
Teenage
you
Mutant-
can buy a copy or the ebook version, Kindle. Purchase this one. Amazon, leave a review.
Okay, so far your
0
book
for
has
3.
no pop-ups, no posters, and yet it's
But
still
now
somehow
you're just
winning.
giving us ideas on how to make it better. So that's why I'm going to say it's
All right,
better
Fine.
because the next version.
3-0. Ready?
Okay.
Scary stories to tell in the dark.
Okay, that one's better.
That's tough competition.
that one's
yes.
that
That
is-
would mess me up.
You did it.
It-
What's your favorite story in here?
My least favorite but favorite one is the one about, isn't there like one about a scarecrow coming to life or something like that?
think there's a scarecrow one.
Like there's
I
a
don't know.
scarecrow involved in one.
I've
and it's-
repressed all of those stories.
You
it's
remember
really good.
Bloody Fingers? Do you remember
Yes,
that one?
that one was insane.
Bloody Fingers.
Don't.
Yes.
You should read it.
Okay. So, moms and dads out there, scary stories, number 1 on your list. Number 2, Chuck's Chair.
Chuck's Chair.
So, in order
Also,
so far.
still
Here's a
available on
powerful
Amazon.
motivator. I can't believe my parents let me read that.
Yeah.
That was one that it
was.
there was those books you stumbled upon in the library when you were old enough to kind of sneak stuff. That was one of the first books for me that
Okay.
I had a like Magic Treehouse out in bed, but then when my dad went back to his room, I pulled out Scary Stories to tell in the dark and read it by myself, which I don't recommend.
So,
You had
is there
scary
any,
stories underneath your mattress.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
This is good. Is there anything demonic in your book?
No, not at all.
Okay,
It's
there we go.
all-
All right.
So I
Next
would
one.
still recommend Chuck's Chair over Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I got 2 more.
Okay.
You could read Chuck's Chair in
Ready?
the dark.
And
Okay.
be happy. It's
Book
a
number
light in the
5.
dark.
Rambo.
Chuck Sherr is still better. Where are you pulling
All
these out
these
from?
are based off 80s movies.
Listen,
you didn't
I
actually
grew up
read
in the
these.
80s.
No.
What are
Yes,
the
these
words?
are
Based off
books
of
in the
movies that
80s.
you like. I'm picking up
Wait,
on
wait,
this.
What do
open
you
it. Read me a selection
What
from
did
No.
you read
Tell me
growing
your
up? You
favorite
didn't read
Rainbow.
books off movies?
Tell me your favorite part in that book without opening it. Without opening it.
Oh, wait.
I never read it. All
There
right.
you go.
Next
Chuck
one.
Sherr is
This
better.
next one, I swear I did read.
He's gonna pull out the Bible.
I swear to you, and I saw the movie a lot of
Movie.
times.
The movie.
And if,
Passion of the
and if
Christ,
you
yeah.
say if you say your book is better, I'm calling BS on it.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Annie.
My book is better.
No way! No way!
The movie
No
is
way.
the movie is great,
This is the original Annie, not the remakes. Okay.
but this is the original Chuck Sherr. This one's better.
He's got a point there.
All right. Whatever.
I got to think for Annie.
Listen, I appreciate the confidence
Yeah.
in your book.
You asked
and
for
that,
it.
Yeah. No,
You
I
asked for it.
did.
Available on
That's fair.
Amazon. Leave a review. Chuck Sherr Kindle version also available. I'm sorry.
No, you had to do that
Shameful
because
plug.
chances are we wouldn't link to you in the
Exactly.
bio or anything
No,
like that.
none of that.
or,
I'm really
mention it.
fighting for
Yeah.
all the mentions here.
Absolutely.
On Amazon, Chuck Sherr, CHUCK''S Sherr.
So, but I thought when we Googled Chuck's chair on
Yeah.
or Chuck's chair on Amazon, other things come up.
That was okay. That was
Focused on
originally
incontinence.
Well,
Yeah.
it was
If you want
because
diapers, Google
if you
Chuck
want
Sherr.
diapers, or there was a squatty potty involved. So when it first came out, if you looked up Chuck Sherr on Amazon, the book did not come up. But now, if you look up Chuck Sherr or Gunnar Rogers, it'll be the first thing to come up.
All right, good.
Okay.
All right, not Chunk's chair.
Not
Chuck's,
Chuck's chair or
Chuck's
Chuck's
chair.
char. Chuck's chair.
Chuck's chair. You gotta be able to spell, people.
Yeah, it's also the possessive Chucks, not Chucks like plural. So-
Okay, I'm gonna let's be real. There's some parts of this book that I really love. Okay, so
Aw. Show
and
confidence.
the rest of it's trash. Just kidding.
Well,
I love it.
You saw his book selections. Don't be too flattered. You're right up there with Annie and Rambo. Okay, question one. Who's
yeah.
Chuck?
So Chuck, I mean, it really was just this idea, of the carpenter, and I don't know if it was like the innocence or the oblivion of really having never written a story. So one of the first challenges was naming a character, and the low-hanging fruit was how much wood could a woodchuck chuck. And so Chuck, and then also thought, well, it's also my now father-in-law's name is Chuck, and we call him Chuckles, and thought, well, that'd be a cool homage to. So it's a bit of the two. So yeah, but the first thought was, Chuck, woodchuck. It's wood, carpenter, Chuck. Oh, also father-in-law Chuck. Read it to my kids. Yeah,
That's a good way to kiss up to the father-in-law. I
Yeah,
like it.
exactly.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Well played.
What stood out to you in this book?
Well, so
Zachary?
okay, one of the things right from the bat, you're talking about the creative journey. You see this carpenter go out into the woods, and he's like hand-picking the tree, and everything is purposeful. And when he's doing it, he's finding joy in it. I mean, there's just something to like. It's not easy work. It's still hard work. It's still gruesome. Like it's still manual labor, but because he's passionate about it, because it aligns with his purpose, because he has vision for what it's going to become, like he enjoys the entire process. And so finding the thing that can be hard, but you still love to do.
Yeah, you did a brilliant job of describing that piece of it, because that's the first thing that stood out to me. We're not often thinking about the creator and the joy and intent he has in the entire process, not just the end result of what we might do for him. It's not about that, right? It's about the joy in him thinking about the possibilities, the joy in him imagining what could be, the joy of him creating and bringing to life and carefully selecting every aspect of who we are. And then finally, the joy of seeing us wrestle with and eventually own who we were created to be. Like all of that, as an adult, I read that and part of me is just like put at peace, like, no, I do have a father in heaven. I do have a dad who loves and sees me that way and was that intent from beginning to end. And that is not something most kids in America grow up ever thinking about.
Yeah.
Even parents. And I think that was, it actually truly means the world to me that both of y'all have those words to say about it already. So thank you for even reading it and taking the time to think about what it all means. Like from both of you, that means so much. But that was one of the cool things about really refining the story, because I think that is maybe a bit of it was a bit of what made it a little bit easier to write as far as the idea of children's book author, but realizing parents are reading this. There are adults who have fornicated and produced a child. Like these are most likely somewhat mature or experienced.
Threw me off.
Yeah, I didn't know how to put it.
Fair.
But just meaning that there are people with experience in this life reading this book to an innocent child. And I want for them to have something from this too, so that either it's impactful for them, or, in 10 years when they're referencing this book, because now I've gone to high school and been told that I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not athletic enough, I'm not enough. It would be so cool to see how God can work in a parent and an adult, but also a kid's life together in that way.
Yep.
And just wanting so badly for people to have the piece of being made. I think sometimes we feel like we're not complete, and I think we're even told from the church we're not complete, and I think that's sometimes well intended, but there's a reality that we're made already. We are exactly as we were intended to be. And
that's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I love it because, like, one, I could preach a whole sermon series on this, but also it's a simple enough concept that I think about it in my day to day, and I read it to my kid. So it's cool.
Shouts out Eli.
Yeah, shout out. He didn't know what's going on, but I get it.
He's super. Oh, he knows.
One of the concepts that I really, really dig is, Chuck's view of the chair, like his vision for the chair, never changed. Just the chair's understanding of how Chuck had made him. And so that was the second part, like, just talking about comparison, being the thief of joy, like the chair's understanding of his design, his unique purpose.
Yeah, and that's so that's exactly, and that was captured again so brilliantly, and you identify it with it no matter how old you are. It's like, wow, yes, I wrestle with comparing the way I was created to everybody else, wishing I served that purpose or that purpose or that purpose or that purpose, and never finding contentment in my own value and purpose. And it's like a never-ending, race. And so that was...
Okay, so time out. If you were a piece of furniture based off your identity, purpose, like, what piece of furniture would you be?
Wow. I think in this season of life, like, this might be more of a seasonal answer. Coffee table. I just feel like I love coffee and making coffee, but also love hosting people. And I feel like people congregate around the coffee table at the end of the day or to start the morning to have those first thoughts or have those ending day thoughts. And I think those are my favorite parts of the day. So if I could be a piece of furniture that was just there for that or providing that, definitely a coffee table.
Oh, no doubt, a bed, because there's times to be easy, rest, and there's times to get busy. You know what I mean?
I love that. Dude, your wife is
multifunctional.
Are you a firm mattress or a soft mattress?
Oh, well, I used to be a firm mattress when I was younger. These days, I got a pillow top.
Is that going to get the E? Is that going to be what gets us the E on this one?
No, I said pillow top mattress.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, listen, when you go to Google this podcast in the future, you can put in Chuck's chair, or you can put in fornication, pedophile. A lot of different ways will route you back to this podcast.
Welcome to Church Misfits.
Yeah. Wide viewership.
Wait, what would your furniture be?
Yeah. I was thinking about that, and until you said the bed thing, I was like, man, I'd be like a down pillow, like you just cuddle up, rest, but you could also have pillow fights. Ooh. But yeah, I think I need to change my answer now.
A throw pillow on the couch?
Who?
A very comfortable throw pillow on the couch?
No, I hate throw pillows.
Well, I mean,
I don't see any purpose.
Do you hate them or you don't
pillows.
understand them? I just don't understand.
I judge them because I don't understand them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get to my favorite line in this book, but I'm not sure you wrote it, so I'm not sure if I should.
What?
Because it's on the back cover. And a lot of times authors don't write the back cover.
Everything you
wrote
read,
the back
I
cover?
wrote the back cover. I wrote that.
Okay, all right. Then I got to this last two sentences. It's a close call, but it's still good. And props to whoever wrote it.
The part of your book I really like
that you didn't write.
That you didn't write.
Well, you did write it, so it's all good. I probably should have asked you before we went
That was
live,
almost
but,
like,
hey.
my favorite part of this book is the one part that you had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
And it's this one.
All right, I gotta read this.
Okay.
I don't want. Make you read it, because maybe I'll cry if you read it. Just that last paragraph.
The last
paragraph on the back of the book.
Go ahead.
This is a story for all of us to remind us that we are the delightful work of a master craftsman, to remind you that all you ever have to be is you. Everyone else is already taken.
That's brilliant. I have never heard it put that way before. Like, all you ever have to be is you, because everybody else is already taken. That appeals to my logic and what little emotion I have still left in me. Both of them. I love that. Yeah. So,
I wrote it for you, Joe.
yeah. So I want you to say that when you sign this for me in a few minutes.
I will.
want you
I will
to
do
put
that.
in there. This is good. Okay. So did we cover everything?
Yeah. I mean, it's a kid's book. How long could it be?
That's fair. It is not 28 pages. Available on Amazon.
It's a quick
Chuck
read, but
share,
something you can
leave a
unpack
review.
forever. He has a combo pack. What just happened?
So while they laugh, there's only 4 reviews on Amazon right now.
This only happened once before. Hey, he has a combo pack where you can get incontinence diapers and the book all in one
Squatty potty.
fell swoop.
I'm going to remember that line for a long time. I am.
I told
Did
you
we cover
there was
everything?
tears when we read this book.
Did we cover everything? It's a children's book. How long can it be?
I can write the inside cover if you want.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, if you like this, we're going to be getting some videos out there of you actually reading the book.
Yeah,
To my
for sure.
teenagers.
And they will love it. They will love every
They
second.
are.
Also,
They
if
are.
you want your teenager to read it, Amazon.com.
Yeah.
Chuck's Chair search.
All right.
It'll look like this.
Yeah.
Kindle version available too.
All right. Before we go, I think you need to plug the book. Have you plugged the book yet?
Yeah, please. How do we get this book?
So there's a couple ways to get the book. There's a couple ways to get
Shut up, man. We heard it enough.
on Amazon.
All right, listen. You've been listening to the Badass Book Club, a brainchild of Zachary David Tinney,
That idea.
who does not want to take credit for it
No.
because it has the word ass in it. But we, if you like this and like to suggest a book for us to review,
And plug.
hit us up
Hey,
and plug.
What about
Let us know.
Rambo? Maybe Annie.
Or
I mean, we want to be able to speak to the author.
Let's
So
lamp.
if Sly wants to come on and talk to us about Rambo, we will gladly.
I feel like
interview
the
him.
authors of all your old books are dead.
I feel like that none of those books were actually books.
Okay,
Joe likes pictures.
listen. we got other stuff to do here, so we need to move on. And one more plug for Spotify, in case
Amazon.
they want to hook us up with 100 million to be exclusive on their platform.
That's
Like
well,
Joe
I saw
Rogan?
that earlier,
Yeah.
and I immediately thought I need to send this to Zach so that we can Photoshop your face onto Joe's face and say Joe
Yeah.
Elliot.
Elliott
Podcast.
Right.
100 million.
All right.
5 zeros.
All right. Thank you, Gunnar.
This
Okay,
could be the
thank you.
episode.
Thank you guys so much, real. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Amazon, Chuck Share, leave a review.
Okay, nice.